What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is up 5.87%, 1050 the low, 1131 the high, and you were seeing a lot of volume. So 41 million shares being traded, 33 is the average. So a couple of things that's really moving the market higher today. One is a tariff deal between the States and Vietnam. Very good stuff. I believe it's a 20% one way and 0% the other. So that's obviously very advantageous to the States. Aside from that though, it is the data. That's one of the biggest things that's moving the market. So ADP employment came in at negative 33,000, forecast of 90,000. So kind of contradicts Jolt numbers that came out yesterday, in fact. But nonetheless though, the market's taking this horrific data as a very good reason to cut rates. So a lot of growth stocks and speculative stocks are really moving higher and most likely could actually prompt a bigger rotation. So I brought this up roughly 1 year ago when things started to look fairly optimistic at the time. Of course, I think some uncertainties did develop since then, but a broader market rotation. So currently we have a massive amount, almost record high amounts of money sitting in the money market funds. And they are waiting for the green light to feel very comfortable in the market to rotate out and go into both the crypto and equity markets, similar to what happened in 2020 to 2021. And we are starting to actually see that. For the first time in a very long time, we are starting to see a rotation out. So it is starting to go down slightly. So what does that mean for SoundHound? So that means all-time highs. That means FOMO in the broader market. A lot of speculative stocks really kind of breaking out. So I feel like SoundHound is going to start piggybacking off of that rotation, that kind of broad market rally. And even aside from that, you did have in the first half of 2025, $556 billion of inflow into ETFs. And on occasion, I have actually brought up some ETFs that have added SoundHound or potentially will be adding SoundHound, such as 𝗖𝗎𝗓𝗪 is one, and I do believe that one is going to be launching this quarter, so in Q3. So at the end of the day, that is a fairly good thing. And I think no matter what, when it comes down to SoundHound, it's the sector. That is what's going to really move up SoundHound and a lot of other stocks as well. So it's not really specific to SoundHound because as I've been somewhat kind of criticizing them, they haven't really been putting out that much news. If anything, they've been rather silent. So I feel like even for instance today, SoundHound is up 6.2%, not really because of their operations or some recent updates, rather just the sector that they are in. So that's kind of a good bad thing. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And then speaking of operational updates, I wanted to bring this up only because I saw it posted on Reddit and it was done by String Square. So it shows Rector and SoundHound equaling the next gen emergency response. Just for full clarity, this was actually announced in January. So it's not new information, but nonetheless, this is something that they could really talk on and elaborate on kind of some updates, right? So I think definitely SoundHound is in the right sector and the market is right to really move SoundHound higher. The question is, what is SoundHound going to do to really separate themselves from even what they mentioned in the last earnings, a increase in competition? So SoundHound definitely doesn't have the opportunity to be sitting back and coasting. They really need to be on and hungry for more business. That's just my own, obviously, thoughts. You do whatever you think is right. But when it comes down to shorts, currently they are increasing 444,000 shares today. 34.23% of the free float is being shorted. So once again, another new all-time high short interest. 123.68 million shares overall are being shorted, and that does work out to be $1.29 billion. Short score on a side note is 75.83. A lot of people, even on Reddit and on Twitter, I see a lot of people mentioning SoundHound and squeeze in the same sentence. And as I've mentioned in my video over the weekend, SoundHound in theory could definitely squeeze. All it needs is a surprise catalyst. That's what any stock needs. I think in general, shorts are overextended in many stocks in the market right now. So all these these stocks need is a good surprise catalyst. So if SoundHound does announce some merger or something that could better their operations, then in theory you could definitely see shorts return, I'd say a good 20% of this 34%, in my opinion, unless you believe like mother of all short squeeze types of scenarios. But aside from that, 9.99 million in calls, 1.1 in puts, 49% of all the options being done are bullish in nature today. So definitely people are anticipating for this FOMO to continue. Aside from that, from the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be above 1150, and then the bears for it to be sub 1050. So definitely a little bit more upside is anticipated, with tomorrow being the last trading day in the week. Just take note of this. So this is all the open interest. So you have 11,000 at the 11, 12,000 at 1050, and then 9,000 at that 10. And then over and above that, you have 5,000 at 1150 and then 5,000 at 12. So if SoundHound, for whatever reason, I think best case scenario, if it's able to close above 11, then this is where you could definitely see a very nice push higher going into this upcoming week. Aside from that, these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. And again, for those of you that actually watch my video every day or every second day whenever I put them out, you would know that this definitely is abnormal. So institutions are actually paying attention to it, which is always welcomed. And then aside from that though, even on the dark pool, a ton of transactions. A lot of this is institutions rebalancing still, I feel, from Q2, and also attributed to shorts. With it right now at 1114 though, trading between this R2 and this R1, so 1096 is going to be a strong support, and then 1141 followed by 1214 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So at the end of the day, SoundHound definitely is breaking out. Even on a technical standpoint, it is successfully now above all the key points that I like to look at. So the 50, the 200, and also the 100-day moving averages. So essentially you are seeing a very nice push higher. So most likely you will see another scenario similar to the second week of May play out, where you might have a push and a retest of that 1250 range. Of course, based on the fib levels as well, that's a heavy resistance point, but nonetheless, I feel like SoundHound, that's where it'll go. And dependent on the FOMO at the time, then you could see more of a further push higher, similar to what happened in December. Keep in mind this rotation that did happen between November and kind of the tail end of December, that is a small micro rotation that did happen. So a small amount of capital was getting in, and this is what happened. And so if we go back over here, imagine even if like 3% of this amount, which is $7 trillion, even if that does rotate into equities, imagine what that would do to the actual stock price. Aside from that, no new analyst ratings, no articles or anything like that, but one thing I do want to bring up, of course, is the fact that it is overbought. But then again, about 90% of all stocks in the market right now are considered overbought. So that does mean the first sign of weakness, you could see a little bit more of a pullback. One thing to take note of though, as I mentioned, that SoundHound really needed to get above this super trend indicator, and if it was able to, that means you'll have algorithmic trading really working on your side. And luckily enough, everything so far has really played out fairly well. So this is exactly this run right here. It's when you have algorithmic trading really working on your side. So it should be fairly easy for SoundHound to continue to move higher, assuming on a larger standpoint, Trump or Powell or someone else, some other Fed speaker, doesn't really disrupt what is happening in the broader market. So yeah, let me know your viewpoint on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? I myself, I'm not actually buying any more of the stock itself, the common stock. Rather, I am just trying to get some additional premiums in. So I'll keep selling puts, and so that does mean if it does go below my strike price, I get to buy it. So I'm looking more of a value play / kind of option play somewhat thing. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing with SoundHound, so nothing overly crazy, but I'm pretty happy with my position as is. So let me know your viewpoint on SoundHound. Like I said, give yourself a shout out in the comments on what you are doing. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I am giving buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.